Micro-investing apps sell a feeling as much as a product. The feeling is that you can fix your future with spare change and a swipe, that you don't need a spreadsheet or a six-figure salary or an uncle who speaks in ticker symbols. They promise to turn coffee into capital, pennies into portfolios, and guilt into graphs that slope upward while you live your life. Some of that is true, some of it is marketing mascara on old ideas. The question isn't, are micro-investing apps good or bad? The question is whether they help a real human in a real season of life do the right things more often with less friction, and whether the costs you pay for that friction reduction are worth it. Helpful or hype depends on design, behavior, and price. Let's strip the slogans and look at what these tools actually do, where they shine, where they cheat, and how to use them without becoming a fee donor with a colorful dashboard. Start with what micro-investing is in plain English. Instead of asking you to move a big lump of money into investments on a schedule, these apps capture tiny amounts frequently. They round up purchases to the nearest euro and invest the difference. They offer recurring transfers as small as a few euros. They sell pre-built portfolios. They sometimes pay a little bonus if you shop through a partner link. The promise is behavioral, small, automatic, painless contributions that slip under your defenses. If automation is the engine of wealth, micro-investing is the baby version of that engine, slow, quiet, hard to notice, designed for beginners who would otherwise do nothing. If your biggest financial enemy is inertia, that behavioral nudge can be gold. Someone who has never invested, who feels allergic to brokerage jargon, who has 25 euros spare this week and 0 next week, doesn't need an options chain. They need a button they will press and forget. Roundups create a habit loop. Spend, skim a little, invest. Recurring microtransfers turn investing into a subscription you pay to yourself. The graph moves up, and for the first time, you feel like a person who invests. That identity shift is not trivial. It breaks the story that investing is for later or for them. But behavioral sugar can hide nutritional labels. Many micro apps charge a flat monthly fee for access, not a percentage of assets. A flat 3 or 5 euros looks like nothing until your balance is small. On a 200 euro balance, a 3 euro fee is an 18% annual drag before market returns even show up. On 1,000, it's 3.6%. On 5,000, it's 0.72%. Only when your balance grows into 5 figures do those fees feel modest. Percentage-based fees can be gentler at small balances. 0.25% of 1,000 is $2.50 per year, but they scale painfully at large balances if the underlying portfolio is just a wrapper around the same low-cost index funds you could buy for a fraction of that cost elsewhere. Fees are not evil. They are rent you pay to avoid friction. The trick is knowing what apartment you're renting and whether you plan to move soon. Portfolios inside these apps are usually fine, sometimes excellent, and occasionally silly. Fine means market cap-weighted index funds for stocks and bonds, split by your risk tolerance and time horizon. Excellent means globally diversified, low-cost ETFs, reasonable bond choices, and tax-aware rebalancing in taxable accounts. Silly means novelty slices that look exciting on marketing pages, ESG screens with questionable definitions, tiny allocations to themes you saw on a billboard, or found money gimmicks that add pennies and subtract euros in fees. You don't need sizzle to build wealth. You need broad exposure, low cost, and time. If the app can deliver those without asking you to pick stocks while waiting for a bus, helpful. If it confuses you into trading because the graphs wiggle nicely, hype. Roundups are the feature that gets headlines, so let's run the math without romance. Rounding 3.23 up to 4 euros invests 0.77. Do that a couple of times a day and you might invest 30 to 60 euros per month. Over a year, at a modest average return, that's real money, but it's not retirement money. It's a gateway habit. The people who win with micro-investing use roundups as training wheels, then add recurring contributions that matter, 50, 100, 250 euros per month as raises arrive and budgets stabilize. If you never increase the amounts, you'll end up with a tidy pot that pays for a short trip, not a portfolio that pays for decades. Roundups are the on-ramp. Don't camp on the ramp and call it a road trip. Taxes sit under the floorboards of these apps. In many countries, micro-investing accounts are taxable brokerage accounts unless you deliberately open tax-advantaged wrappers, ISAs, Roths, 401k, workplace schemes, etc. through the platform. If your app offers an ISA-style or retirement-style account, use that first for long-term goals. If it doesn't, consider whether you're comfortable doing your long-term investing elsewhere and using the app for short to medium-term goals. Tax loss harvesting boasts are often more marketing than muscle at tiny balances. The benefits barely move the needle when your contributions are measured in euros per day. Don't buy a tax story you don't need. Buy a behavior story you will follow. Risks in micro-investing are mostly human, not technical. The platforms themselves are regulated, custodianed, and competent in most markets. The danger is that the app makes investing feel like spending. Tap, swipe, confetti, so you treat your portfolio like a toy. You check it daily, you change your risk level because a headline scared you, you pause contributions and forget to unpause. The best platforms fight this by hiding day-to-day noise, by celebrating deposits more than price moves, and by making boring easy. Set a plan once, then go live. The worst platforms gamify the wrong things and sell volatility as entertainment. Entertainment is expensive. Wealth is boring. Helpful looks like this. You download an app, and in 15 minutes, you connect your bank, set roundups on, and schedule a weekly €10 transfer to start. You pick a globally diversified portfolio aligned with your time horizon, not with your mood. You turn on automatic rebalancing. You name the goal, a buffer fund, a house deposit pot, or a first 10,000 portfolio, and set a date. You forget the price date a day and increase the transfer every quarter by 5 to 25 euros, and every time you get a raise by 1% of take-home. You treat the monthly fee like a starter coaching expense for your brain and plan to graduate to a cheaper platform or the same app's percentage tier once your balance justifies it. Along the way, you use any found money partner bonuses as sprinkles, not the cake. You keep your investments simple, and you don't message your future self every time the line wiggles. The app becomes a bridge between intention and execution. Hype looks like this. You open 3 apps because each one offers €5 to sign up. You connect all of them to the same account. You watch multiple dashboards. You turn on roundups and then compensate by spending more because it goes to investing. You leave money in a high fee plan because the monthly fee feels small. You let the app pick a high growth risk level because the words feel good, not because the timeline demands it. You churn portfolios when markets dip. You treat found money shopping portals as excuses to buy things you never intended to buy. And you never graduate to meaningful contributions because the confetti feels like progress. You become a customer, not an owner. Cost control is where adults separate from advertisements. If your app charges a flat fee, set a personal rule. Once the fee equals more than 1% of your balance on an annual basis, you either 1. Increase your balance so the fee shrinks as a percentage, or 2. Move to a plan with percentage pricing, or 3. Graduate to a standard low-cost brokerage where the only fees are the underlying fund expense ratios. If your app also offers a high-yield cash account, consider parking your emergency fund there only if the rate, access, and insurance are competitive. Otherwise, keep safety money separate from investing for clarity. Security and privacy deserve a paragraph because convenience can be a Trojan horse. Use unique passwords and a password manager. Turn on 2-factor authentication. Limit app permissions to what's necessary. Be cautious with spending insights features that encourage you to link every account under the sun. The more doors you open, the more locks you need. Check what happens to your data if you close the account. Read the small print once, then you can forget it. Boredom now prevents scandal later. Micro-investing is great for specific goals. Building the first €500 between you and overdraft fees. Assembling a beginner's emergency fund while you set up a separate higher yield account. Funding a near-term purchase on purpose instead of on a card. Practicing the muscle memory of money moves automatically toward my priorities. It is less great as your sole retirement vehicle unless the app offers true retirement accounts with low costs. It is terrible if it becomes an excuse to delay hard conversations about debt, income, and spending. A roundup cannot fix a recurring 400 shortfall. It can fix the part of you that believes investing is something other people do. If you want a practical way to use these apps without becoming a mascot, try the 3-step Start, Scale, Shift. Start with a micro-investing app to break inertia. Roundups on, 10 to 25 euro weekly, diversified portfolio, low fee tier. Scale by increasing contributions each quarter and after each raise. Add a set monthly deposit that you treat as non-negotiable. Shift once your balance crosses a threshold, say 2,500 to 5,000 euro. Either lower your fee by moving to the app's cheaper plan or transfer to a standard brokerage you're comfortable with and continue the same automated contributions directly into broad index funds. The app was your coach. Graduation is not betrayal, it's the plan working. There's also a mission fit question. Some apps aim to include people traditionally excluded by high minimums and jargon. They build education into the interface. They encourage small, steady habits. They partner with employers or schools. Others aim to monetize beginners quickly with upsells, credit products, or crypto side quests. Look at everything the app is trying to sell you. If invest for the long term in boring funds is the only drum they beat, good sign. If your home screen is a shopping mall, that's not investing, that's marketing. What about spare change investing through debit cards that round every tap? It's fine if you're not playing whack-a-mole with overdrafts. If roundups trigger overdraft fees, you've turned a habit into a tax. In that case, set a fixed weekly transfer instead of roundups until your checking account has a reliable cushion. Your nervous system matters as much as your math. A habit that causes uh-oh pings will not survive the month. For parents and teachers, micro-investing can be a teaching tool. A teen who sees $2.37 slide into an investment every time they buy a snack and who opens an app quarterly to see contributions add up is learning something powerful. Money leaks can be redirected. Pair it with a real conversation about compounding and the risk of chasing shiny things, and you will have raised an adult who ignores influencers and trusts a transfer they set on a calm day. What if you're already late and feel that micro amounts are insulting? Respect the feeling, then do the math. If you invest 250 euro monthly starting at 40 and earn a modest 6%, you'll have real six-figure money by traditional retirement age. If you invest 500 euro monthly, you'll have more. You can combine micro habits with macro moves, negotiate pay, reduce high-interest debt, move to a cheaper apartment for a season, start a low-noise side income. Micro-investing doesn't prevent big levers, it makes sure small levers keep moving while you push the big ones. Common traps deserve bright lights. Don't pay for premium advice that is just risk questionnaires dressed in adjectives. Don't confuse ESG labels with guaranteed virtue or returns. If values matter, research how the fund defines them and what it actually holds. Don't accept a money market invest option that pays less than a normal high-yield savings account for your cash sleeve. Don't chase referral bonuses if they keep you in a bad fit. 10 euro now for a 1% higher fee forever is an expensive coffee. A note on crypto and micro-investing. If an app tacks on coin exposure like a toy aisle near the checkout, treat it as entertainment you can afford to lose, not as part of the plan that funds the next 20 years. If you want crypto exposure for reasons beyond fear of missing out, separate it into a small, capped percentage with its own rule, and never let it cannibalize the boring engine that actually makes people wealthy. Broad equities, bonds appropriate to your timeline, cash for resilience, contributions that increase automatically. When someone asks helpful or hype, the answer over a lifetime is this. Helpful if it gets you started this week, if it keeps you going next year, if it becomes cheaper as you grow, and if it stays boring on purpose. Hype if it makes you feel like you're investing when you're actually shopping, if the fees eat the contributions, if it trains you to trade your feelings, or if it delays the grown-up work of building an emergency fund, paying down toxic debt, and increasing income. You can outsmart the hype by writing a tiny policy on a sticky note. I'll invest X euro weekly via roundups, plus transfer by Y every quarter. When my annual fee exceeds 1% of my balance, I'll shift to a lower cost account. I will not change portfolios based on headlines. I will not buy things to earn found money. That is not romantic. It is effective. Picture the end of your first year. You open the app and see 12 months of deposits that happened while you were busy. Maybe the balance is 1,200 euro. Maybe it's 3,400 euro. The number is less important than the fact that you built a machine that moves without your mood. Picture year 3. The balance is bigger, the fee is smaller as a percent. and you've either shifted to a low-cost setup or stayed with a platform that earned its keep by getting cheaper as you grew. Picture year 7. You barely think about micro-investing as a category because you are simply an investor now. Helpful did its job by making itself invisible. That is the line between helpful and hype. The best tools disappear into routines that protect you from yourself and from marketing. The worst tools demand attention and charge tickets at the door. Choose the ones that shut up and move your money. Start small, scale calmly, shift when it's time, let the confetti fall somewhere else.